Good afternoon. A high-stakes cabinet meeting is underway at the presidency today on the Constitution Review Committee report. Government is expected to issue a position paper on the recommendations of the Professor Kwesi Prempeh-led committee and announce a roadmap for implementing the proposed reforms. The committee submitted its report to the president in December, outlining far-reaching changes to Ghana's constitutional architecture. Minister for Government Communications Felix Akufo-Addo made that announcement, and right now in the studio, Kweku Asante of our Legal Affairs Desk is joining me in the studio with a reminder of some of the key reforms proposed by the committee. Kweku, let us recap some of the major reforms that were proposed by the Constitutional Review Committee.
Together, they were supposed to do quite some work on amending or reviewing our constitution together with Madam Salotese and a number of people who were on that committee that set out to do the work. And in just under a year, they presented that report to the president at the Jubilee House in late December, just after Christmas, the president promising that implementation was going to start right in the new year when the Christmas and New Year holidays were over. It has taken some time, almost 5 months now, and the president is now moving into action. We expect that by close of day today, or perhaps by the end of the week, we'll get to know what government's position is on this. So let's talk about some of the key reforms that they're proposing. You recall that they talked about keeping the two-term limit. And we know in the current constitutional order, a president can only run for 2 terms. But there have been big conversations as to whether or not 2 years has ever been enough. 2 terms, I should say. And so they say, instead of a 2-term or 4-year each, it should be 2 terms, 5 years for every term, which would mean for a president that gets 2 terms, they get to serve for 10 years. That is one of the major promises they are making. There's also the promises to reduce the minimum presidential age from 40 years to 30 years. Currently, if you are not 40 years, you cannot contest to become president. If this proposal is accepted by government, it is amended, it will mean that 30-year-olds can put themselves up and run for president. One other change that is the proposal, which is very seismic in nature, is a proposal that no minister should come from parliament. Currently, under the constitutional order, the president is enjoined to appoint at least half, in fact, more than half of his ministers from parliament. And currently we have about 60 MPs, ministers, I should say, with most of them coming from parliament. And that is being changed to the fact that only non-members of parliament can be appointed as ministers. And so if you're a minister, you're an MP, I should say, and you are to be appointed as a minister, you have to resign your seat, as we see pertaining in the U.S. system. There's also the big proposal about electing MMDCs. We know that under President Akufo-Addo, that plan started in earnest. It did not conclude because there was no consensus on whether or not we are going to elect MMDCs on partisan basis or not. That has been resurrected. We also have the proposal to cap ministers at 57, and then we have to cap parliament also at 276. That is what we have currently. The expectation is that we should not have any more members of parliament than is necessary as we have it now. There's also the proposal to have an independent political parties regulator. We have the EC now. They want the Electoral Commission to focus on organizing elections and doing all the other antecedent and other relationships that comes with that role. But let's have an independent constitutional body that will regulate political parties and ensure that they are meeting the various laws that they need. So they talk about making the national development planning institutions constitutionally entrenched so that political parties would have to develop their manifestos in line with the national development priorities of the country. So Ken, these are some of the big issues that the Constitutional Review Committee has put before Parliament. And today, we expect that we'll get to know what the government makes of those proposals. Do they accept them? Do they not accept them? Which one they accept? Which one they do not accept? And what exactly the form of the recommendation will take. Already, we have some idea and names as to who may chair the implementation committee, but we'll get to see that perhaps after the close of the cabinet meeting.
Indeed, Kweku Asante, thank you very much. And that cabinet meeting, as you mentioned earlier, has been going on for a bit now. We will also try to touch base with our presidential affairs correspondent, Maxwell Agbagba. Although he is in faraway South Africa, he has his ears and eyes at the Jubilee House. Let's try and see if we can reconnect with him. I understand we have lost connection with him, but if we do, we will get back to him. But in the meantime, though, the Ghana Police Service has been slapped with nearly 200,000 cedis in damages and costs after finding that the police engaged in human rights violations and misconduct when it abused several journalists and protesters during the Occupy-Jolobi protests in 2023. Listeners may recall in 2023 that the police assaulted and arrested dozens of protesters demanding action against Galamsey as well as journalists who covered the protests. Some of the victims sued and after more than 2 years have received judgment in their favor. Akufo Asante is still in the studio. He's part of our legal affairs desk with details of that particular ruling. Kweku, give us a brief background to this case. So
for those of you who followed, in 2023, there was a big protest called the Occupy-Jolobi House protest, which was organized by Democracy Hub, Fix the Country, and a number of other such organizations. They said at the time that they were protesting illegal mining and other economic malaise that had plagued the country at the time. And so they hit the streets on 23rd September. It was just around the holiday that was going to mark the birth, or the holiday of Nkrumah's birth, Kwame Nkrumah's birth. The police at the time managed to secure an injunction prior to the demonstration being held and sought to enforce it in terms of what we saw. But eventually the police decided that because of the injunction they had, they were not going to allow that protest to happen. They stormed the grounds of the protest. They arrested people. In fact, in the process, they brutalized some people, arrested them, and it led to this action. Obviously, at the time, we know that the protest did go on for 3 days before it concluded, and that is what we have seen. In terms of the people who sued and what exactly they wanted, that is what you see on your screen. The case title is Bridget Otoo and two others versus the IGP and the Attorney General. And the police was called on, or the court was called on, to examine the allegations against the police that he had abused protesters and journalists who went to cover that protest. And so that is what we saw. And the court actually found, as we know now, that the police actually violated the rights of the protesters and journalists who were there at the time, and that the police indeed were involved in misconduct. That is what the judge found quite crucially. And that Bridget Otoo was assaulted, her blouse was ripped apart. Vanessa Edotomboatin, the second plaintiff in this action, was also unlawfully detained. Her phone was seized. George Jenin Anyan was also beaten while he was live streaming the protest that was happening at the time. So these are the three people. And now, Ken, these are the reliefs that have been granted by the court. There are those who say that it's not punitive enough, but that is what the court ultimately found, that the police should pay 100,000 cedis in compensatory damages to the three people, and then pay 50,000 cedis as general damages and 30,000 cedis in legal costs. If you put that together, that is 180,000 cedis that the police have to pay to these three people who went to court. And ultimately, we know that Samson Lade Anyenini, who was lawyer for the plaintiffs, did raise some issues as to whether or not that amount of money was enough. The judge talked about the fact that this is not an avenue to actually pile on the cost of the police, and that if the police were to pay some of the amounts that were demanded by the plaintiff, nearly 1 million Ghana cedis, the police will go bankrupt of a sort, or they will not be able to do their job. That is still a question that people are discussing. The Ghana Police Service must also publish an unqualified apology via the Daily Graphic to these people that were brutalized by their officers on the day of the protest. So the big news, these three people getting that amount of money from the police, but also getting a court order that says that they were brutalized, the police engaged in unlawful conduct and violated their human rights, Ken.
It's been a long time coming. Thank you very much, Akufo Asante. Well, let's go on to the telephone lines right now and speak to private legal practitioner Samson Lade Anyenini. He acted as lawyer for the plaintiffs in this action. Samson, welcome to the program. You represented the plaintiffs in this matter, but outside of your work, what does this mean for the right to protect journalists in covering protests such as that one?
It represents continuing protection that is offered by the courts. If you will check, Multimedia in particular has taken several of these suits against the violation of the rights of their journalists from Efiapokua, Jojo Kobina, and the rest of them. And the courts have, in all instances, upheld the rights of the journalists to do their job, as enshrined in the Human Rights Chapter of our Constitution, Chapter 5, and also in Chapter 12 of the 1992 Constitution, that the journalists do an onerous job, and the Constitution provides them that mandate to do their work as the fourth estate of the realm, and that particularly for security officers, their job is to offer protection and not to turn around to become those who abuse and violate the journalists. So this is a continuation of that, and the court has been a vanguard for the protection of the human rights and the rights of the journalists to do their work as mandated by the Constitution.
Do you think the damages is punitive enough, 180,000 Ghana cedis?
We are happy about the fact that the court found that the claims that were brought, the allegations that they were, have been shown not to be just allegations, but be fact, that Bridget Otoo, Vanessa Boateng, Metro Television, and George Jennings, an ordinary man who was streaming the violations that were happening at the time, were in fact physically assaulted by police officers. And beyond that, they were prevented from doing their work as journalists because Bridget Otoo and Vanessa were reporting for the Metro Television, and that was simply doing their job. If you remember, even a BBC journalist also suffered some assault. There was actually a lawyer who also suffered, and we are thankful to Richmond Roxton, the lawyer who was also manhandled a bit during that situation, and who came to court to, as it were, testify for our clients. Also, lawyer Inusa Fuseni, the former member of parliament and former minister, who also was there to try and represent some of the people who had been detained, also witnessed particularly the manhandling of Vanessa, who was forced to delete the content of, violations that were committed against ordinary people, who was forced to delete it. He witnessed that, and he was the one who, at the time, intervened for Vanessa's release. And he also testified in the court to this particular fact. As for Bridget Otoo, I'm sure most of you have seen the videos. If you just punch in on your Google right now, it will pop up, and you see how she was, mistreated, and her top dress was ripped off. And the police were defending all of this. In fact, defended it in the courtroom. But today, all of them have shown, as the judge held, every relief we sought was granted, except, as you say, the monetary compensation. We're happy that justice has been done, but the monetary compensation could have been better. Of course, the least we asked was for $1 million, just for the compensation. The least was for $1 million, aside what the court would have awarded for damages and general damages and costs. And that's been a major concern for us. In the cases I referred to that we have done, the multimedia and other journalists, normally the courts have been very reluctant to give sufficient and adequate compensation. I believe they can do better.
Samson, I remember this all too well because at that time I used to work with both Bridget and Vanessa, and I spoke to them after this incident happened. Have you gotten in touch with them after the ruling? And if you have, what have they been telling you?
My clients have been happy that their rights have been vindicated. It's a vindication of rights that all journalists take a benefit from, and they are happy about that. That they would also be formally apologized to by the police as well. Of course, they would have wished that the compensatory damages would have been, if nothing at all, a little close to what they sought. Because once the court found that the police officers misconducted themselves the way they did, it was the natural expectation was that sufficient damages would have followed. But as I heard Akufo-Addo say, the judge was clear that from where he sits, if they are not careful as a court, the police will take on too much of a burden in monetary compensation, and that will cripple, he used the word, cripple them in functioning effectively to protect all of us.
Well, this is not the first time you're representing journalists who've had their rights abused in their line of work. You've referenced some of them, and in fact, the judge also referenced some of them, including Jojo Kobina and others, and cautioned against future abuses. Do you think that this could serve as a better deterrent for the police to be cautious in dealing with journalists next time in their line of work, not to abuse them like we saw in 2023?
In almost every institution, you will find errant, officers like we find in the police. So I will not say that all police officers will conduct themselves the way these officers did. There are unprofessional lot among them. So you and I have a duty to continue to call them out. And when a court, makes orders in this way, makes judicial findings and comes to such conclusions, it is also our job to continue to flag this in their faces and to demand that the right thing is done. The judge did note that there's a new IGP, and the hope is that they would receive the necessary training and whatever it is that is needed to get them to avoid the excesses. People are exercising their constitutional rights.
Right.
Your job is to protect them, and of course that is why the organizers of the Occupy Jilobi House wrote officially about a month before the function, asking for your protection. You come there and you turn your guns on the journalist who is simply reporting the event. And I need to state this again, that journalists must be aware that a police officer does not have the right, nobody has the right, to ask you to delete the content of something they don't want that you have recorded in a public place, which goes against them. They forced Vanessa to delete what she had. They had detained her and insisted that if she had not deleted, that she did not delete, she would not gain her freedom. Eventually, this is what they did to her. She was filming and recording the brutality they were meting out to George Jennings, the ordinary guy who was also streaming some of the brutality that was going on. And what did what's the name, Bridget do? Nothing wrong. Simply assign a journalist to come cover a program, and some news about the situation, and she comes there to check upon her own journalist, what is going on, asking for access to the journalist, and all she gets is that she's being beaten about the place and her shirt is being torn.
Samson, this what or how different is this case from the other cases that you followed concerning abuse by police meted to journalists? Our very own Lateef Idrisu, we know that case is still in court. He was also manhandled by the police. How different is this case from the other cases of abuse suffered by journalists on the hands of police?
So we have done a number of several of these cases where the police have been the ones who are rather supposed to offer protection, who have then done the wrong thing. We've done also where the national security or other security officers are the ones who are doing the wrong thing. If we refer to the Fiapokwa situation, it was officers of the National Health Insurance who were doing the wrong things, and Fiapokwa, as editor, sent a journalist there to cover, and then they attacked the journalist. And Fia goes there herself, and then they push her into, a gutter, and she has a cut. Jojo Kobina and his friends reporting for multimedia, and the Accra mayor, Vanderpoint, issues an order that they should, hold them, seize them, take their videos, and then took them to the police where they were unnecessarily, manhandled, and so on and so forth. So we have seen this too often. If it's not the security officers, it is, party or politically exposed persons who are, conducting themselves this way. If you remember, this situation where Hajia Party, is that her name, felt that one of your journalists looked like an onion seller, as if it is wrong to be an onion seller. And in all of these, my concern has been the quantum of the damages that are awarded. They don't inspire, they don't deter enough. As for Latif's own, it's a completely different, situation, because as you know now, his life, it's at stake.
Right. Samson Ladi Ayeni, thank you very much. He's lawyer for the plaintiffs, Bridget Otoo and friends, who have won the case against police brutality during their protest in 2023. Let's talk about health this afternoon, because the Sector Minister, Kwabena Akufo-Addo, has directed the immediate deployment of doctors and other health personnel to the Mother and Child Hospital at Kaswa after embarking on an unannounced visit to the facility to monitor operations following the death of a pregnant woman there a few weeks ago. Let's go live to the hospital where my colleague Fatao Bayaga is there. Fatao, tell us more.
Officials here allegedly failed to carry out a cesarean session over unavailability of beds at the recovery ward. So we'll speak with the minister to know whether the situation has changed or has improved or not. The minister, Kwabena Akufo-Addo, is here. He has been touring the various wards in this particular facility, and some of the patients too have been raising some concerns about the fact that it's still, there are still some issues in relation to the relationship between the patients and then the health officers here. So we'll talk to the minister to get to understand whether the situation has changed, has improved or not. So Kwabena Akufo-Addo, the health minister, is right here to talk to us in relation to this particular visit to the Mother and Child Hospital of the Kaswa, here at Kaswa. So we'll get to appreciate his own views or observation at this facility. Honorable Minister.
Well, okay, as you all know, I have stated on a number of occasions that I do not want to widen the distance between any health professional and myself as the health minister. So irrespective of where you find yourself, I can be there at any given time. You all agree with me that Mother and Child has been in the media for a very long time these days. So I decided to pay them a surprise visit. None of them knew I was coming here. I am not here to find faults. It's not a fault-finding mission. I am not here to lament on their problems. I am here to encourage them, to engage them, to have frank discussions with them. We locked ourselves in the room and had a very frank discussions with them, try to find solutions to the various problems they are going through, and then demand of them that quality healthcare services they need to deliver to the people within this catchment area. And so we've had some lengthy discussions, and the quality healthcare delivery is non-negotiable. I have acknowledged the good things they are doing, and I have also recounted to them the kind of feedback I have from this place. Today, they made me aware that they are overwhelmed, and so they need more staff. So the problems they enumerated, those I can solve instantly. I have directed that about 3 medical doctors should be posted here with immediate effect. I've also directed that they should post 5 midwives to this facility. I have also directed that about 5 of their orderlies must be mechanized with immediate effect. I have directed that they give me a list of health equipment, medical equipment, that within the next 24 to 48 hours will supply them, and a number of issues that came up. I have directed them to make sure that from tomorrow they start changing the narrative at the mother and child. We must see people responding to clients, patients at the entrance here, directing them where to sit, engaging them. They must make a senior health professional available to patients, where they will, direct them where to go and what they need at the facility. I've seen their cameras, the CCTV cameras, that they should make sure at every point in time the CCTV camera is also working. I took notice of the fact that there were a number of health professionals who were not wearing their name tags. I have admonished them, I have encouraged them to do that. We had a lot of frank discussions. And so I am not here to preempt whatever investigation is going on. The investigation will continue. But then what I'm interested in is to change the narrative within the next 24 hours. We cannot wait. I will do my best to deliver all that they have requested within the next 1 week. But then I am also demanding of them that quality healthcare that the people in this area desire. Of course, the truth of the matter is that they won't get all the things they need within 24 hours. It's not possible. I must be very realistic and I must be frank with them. But those ones that we can do, I've directed them how to spend their internally generated funds. Some must go into maintenance, into expansion, into motivation and all that. Well regulated. And so they were very excited. We had friendly discussions, and I believe that they are just going to do what we have all agreed to do. Basically, that is it.
During your tour, we learned that they have only one theater, and looking at the numbers, what immediate plans?
So there were things that we cannot immediately provide. The equipment, yes, they can get it ready. We can't build the theater within 24 hours. Yes, mechanizing staff, posting staff, we can do. But then the theater, we will have to go back, see what we can do, talk to MCs, talk to members of parliament, bring our heads together and see what we can do within. And that is what I inherited. So we have one strategy dealing with the primary health care facilities. So we have bought a number of quantities of health equipment, hospital equipment that we are distributing across the length and breadth of this country, and they are going to benefit out of that. So we've started. We can't do all at once, but we've started, and I think that it's something. In fact, the statistics show that only 5% of health facilities have the full complement of equipment to deliver their work.
Honorable Minister, you've started. Which facilities have received theirs so far?
Oh, we decided we are doing region by region. We went to the OT region. That's where we started. So every region we are doing the distribution to the regional capitals. So from the regional capital, they will further distribute. Recently, I went to OT region Dambai, and then I saw some of the things being moved to the various facilities. So some of you were at where we went to inspect the facilities, like health equipment. You were there and you saw it for yourself. And those equipment basically are not for my personal consumption. We are going to distribute it to the various health facilities. Yeah.
So that's the Honorable Health Minister Akufo-Addo there, speaking to the media about his visit to the Mother and Child Hospital here in Kasua. The minister says that steps have been taken to, equip all the health facilities across the country, and he said that has begun, and he's assuring the medical officers across the country that in the coming days they would all get the needed equipment that would help them to work effectively. Reporting for Joy News from the Mother and Child Hospital here in Kasua.
Well, thank you very much, Fatal Bayaga. Let's still stay a while with the sector minister, because Akufo-Addo has also dismissed claims that the Ministry of Health's recruitment portal is fraudulent, saying the challenges stem from overwhelming pressure as thousands of applicants log on at once. Anxiety has already been rising among prospective health workers after many reported being unable to access the portal, responding after commissioning a free primary health care post at the Medina Polyclinic. Bridget Otoo said the system is experiencing difficulties due to high traffic, not fraud.
The portal is the one that has been announced by the Ghana Health Service, Ministry of Health. Somebody got to me and said that, look, the portal was opened 10, and by 10:06, when I wanted access, I couldn't enter. So I asked them, and I have a copy, if you like, I'll forward it to you. I asked them to forward to those who have gone through. And you realize that about 10 people enter at every second. I'll forward it to you. So it's very, very competitive, and it depends on where you are, your connectivity and all that. I appreciate the concerns, but we have a challenge at this point in time, and so we'll do something that everybody's heart will be put to rest. I've heard people describing it as a scam, that no recruitment is being done and all that. Don't worry, you know how I do my things. At the end of the day, we are going to publish everything. We are going to publish it district by district, region by region, where you've been, where you go for your interview. So if it is a scam, everybody will know. So please, with time, we are adapting other strategies to do more recruitment, facilitating the migration of health professionals outside the country, absorbing some in the. We are even going to do what we call a volunteer system.
Bridget Otoo is the Minister of Health. He has also been cautioning applicants to be wary of unscrupulous individuals who may exploit the current challenges to scam unsuspecting job seekers.
Lost people everywhere, every time, every moment. So I will encourage everybody to be very careful, very vigilant. Even before I became a health minister, you can ask members of parliament. They are using their names all over on several platforms. They are duping people. But I have challenged anybody and everybody. You get us the slightest, not even the slightest evidence, and then we'll deal with the person. We'll give it to the national security people, we'll give it to the security people, and follow up. But if you use, how will we be able to track it? Thank you very much.
Well, the minister has also commissioned a free primary health care post at the Medina Clinic.
Tell you that we are running this program not on loans and not on grants. It is you and I, our money. And therefore, there should be judicious use of these resources. It is not a donor-funded program. His Excellency says we are not going to set up any para-bureaucratic steps to finance the free primary health care. So the financing is still going to be done by the National Health Insurance. We are not setting up any para structures. So the implementing is going to be done by the Ghana Health Service, is going to be done by the private sector, is going to be done by CHAG. So let us all be part of the system. Let us all own the system so that we can, at the end of the day, get the full benefits.
Away from health, let's talk education, because the Africa Education Watch says any attempt to end the double-track system must be carefully matched with the pace of infrastructure delivery across the country's senior high schools. The group warns that promises to phase out the system without creating enough classroom and boarding space could trigger fresh pressure on student admissions and placements. Well, the comments come after President Mahama announced that government has secured a $300 million facility from the World Bank to upgrade 50 senior high schools nationwide as part of efforts to improve access and quality in secondary education. But Executive Director of the group, Kofi-Asare, speaking on News Desk a while ago, says the success of any phase-out plan will depend on how many single-track spaces are created before the next placement cycle.
In this regard, government has secured a $300 million facility from the World Bank to upgrade 50 senior high schools nationwide under the title Transformative Secondary Education, Transformation for Access, Results and Relevance for Jobs Initiative. The acronym is STAR-J, S-T-A-R-R, and then -J. Under this project, 30 Category C senior high schools will be upgraded to Category B. 20 Category B schools will be upgraded to Category A. This strategic investment is not simply about expanding infrastructure, it is fundamentally about promoting equity, improving quality, and widening opportunities for every Ghanaian child. The Star J project will also operationalize the community day school concept. New E-blocks are going to be built in urban and peri-urban communities. These are going to be community day schools. So this will help ease the growing pressure on boarding facilities and expand access to quality secondary education closer to urban families. Beyond access, the project places strong emphasis on improving quality across all senior high schools.
The minority in Parliament says localization of Ghana's mining industry must not become a process that simply concentrates key concessions in the hands of a limited number of Ghanaian companies. It follows suggestions by the Institute of Economic Affairs that government should not renew Goldfields' Takwa mining lease, insisting instead that it be given to indigenous firms with engineers and planners, and Goldfields among names mentioned. According to the minority, local ownership remains important, but the government must first determine whether proposed companies have the financial strength, technical expertise and operational capacity to successfully manage additional large-scale mines. The caucus warns that failure to conduct proper assessments could expose the country to underperformance or collapse of strategic mining assets. We'll hear from them shortly, but first a report by my colleague Fatao Bayaga on the proposals by the Institute of Economic Affairs.
The Institute of Economic Affairs is mounting a strong opposition to the continued operation of foreign companies in Ghana's extractive sector. This follows Goldfields Limited proposal seeking the renewal of its mining lease of the Takwa mine as the current mining lease approaches expiration in April 2027. The IES says that this is untenable and has asked the government to reject the proposal and instead give it to a local company. Former Chief Justice Sophia Akufo is a key member of the Institute.
The IEA considers the requested lease renewal or extension, whatever they choose to call it, to be deeply inimical to Ghana's long-term economic and strategic interests, and therefore calls on the government to soundly reject this approach.
She also noted that despite operating in the area for decades, the Takwa enclave has remained deprived, justifying their position for government to reject the proposal.
After more than 3 decades of mining activity in Takwa, many communities within the enclave continue to grapple with deteriorated roads, inadequate healthcare infrastructure, limited educational facilities, and widespread socioeconomic deprivation, including rampant unemployment and underemployment of youth.
Former Speaker of Parliament, Professor Mike Okoye, also argues that the benefits of rejecting the extension of the lease outweigh that of the disadvantages.
We cannot just beat these people to the game if we don't own our natural resources, and that they will not develop our country for us. In fact, that is not their intention. Merely making profit is what they come for. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we are saying that there's a need for a new paradigm way beyond what we have known over the years.
The IES says that if this is done and done properly, it will help the nation to feel the impact of its natural resources. Reporting for Joy News from the IEA headquarters here in Accra, I'm Fatao Bayaga.
Well, the minority in Parliament has been responding to the proposals by the Institute of Economic Affairs. Akufo-Addo is Deputy Ranking Member on Parliament's Committee on Lands and Natural Resources. Let's get onto the telephone lines right now and speak to the co-chair of Ghana Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, Dr. Steve Manteya. Dr. Manteya, welcome to the program. Do we have the capacity as a Ghanaian local mining company to hold and manage the mineral resources as is being championed by many?
Well, it depends on what capacity you are referring to. Yes, we do have the technical capacity. Our people have and continue to manage most of the mines here in this country for the mining conglomerates. Most of the directors, the CEOs of most of the foreign mining companies are Ghanaian. So in terms of technical capacity, I would say we have it. But a lot of our mining companies are working for the giants, the conglomerates, as mining contractors. So they have that capacity. But that is not sufficient to be able to run a mine. You need also the financial capacity. And your ability to raise funds depends on your asset portfolio. Most of these big mining giants have portfolios outside this country that they can pull together to raise money to finance their operations. Ghanaian companies are not there yet. And that is why I would prefer a carefully thought out strategy to put Ghanaians in the driving seat in the mining industry. We need to begin from the low-hanging fruit. First and foremost, we need to encourage every mine in this country to list on the stock exchange. My understanding is that Goldfields is listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange, which make ordinary Ghanaians part owners of Goldfields, and they will receive dividends anytime Goldfields. Three, we should focus a lot more attention on value addition so that we prevent the export of raw gold out of the economy. This country should be exporting jewelry rather than exporting gold back. So there's a lot of things that we need to do as a country to ensure greater value retention. But the way we are going, I'm afraid that the signal we are sending to the international investor community is that we are anti-foreign direct investment. And that is not good enough because we cannot raise all the capital required to mine out gold resources in this country from within the Ghanaian economy. We would definitely need external investment. Even the U.S., which is the world's biggest economy, also thrives on foreign direct investment. So we must be careful the path we are treading.
There are those who are also saying that local and foreign companies could be collaborating to be managing some of these firms. How about that?
Yes, I will go for a strategy that includes the creation of Ghanaian conglomerates. So let's get Ghanaian business people, those in the mining sector involved directly, and those outside the mining sector. Let them form business consortium. So you pull, and they must be across the political divide. So you pull Rockshore, which leans more to the MPP. You pull EMP, which leans more. Then you pull Rabotech. Pull all of them together to form a consortium, give them a concession, let them mine, and you are able to then overcome the political risk that is often associated with these kinds of transactions.
Dr. Steve Mantea, thank you very much for your expert analysis. You're still watching the polls here on Joy News. Return from the break with more. Don't go anywhere. You're welcome back. The flag bearer of the opposition MPP, Mahmoud Bawumia, says young people will occupy key leadership positions in a future MPP government as the party intensifies early mobilization efforts ahead of the 2028 general elections. Speaking at a leadership training program for members of TESCON, the student wing of the MPP, Dr. Bawumia said the party was deliberately preparing young members for governance roles should it return to power. He described the 2028 election as one that will largely be decided by young voters and announced plans to increase engagement with students across tertiary institutions nationwide.
TESCON. 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 But a huge thank you very much. This is I'm Pat Mitiasia Pa. This is a great evening to herald the training program that you are going to go through in the next few days. MPP, we believe in the youth. And Dr. Bawumia believes in the youth. I want you to be assured that this training program is for your benefit, because we want the youth to take key leadership positions. And we cannot get you into key leadership positions if we don't prepare you for the uptake of these leadership positions. And that is why this training program is going to take place over the next 2 to 3 days. 2028, inshallah, it is going to happen in 2028. It is possible. It is possible. It is possible. And we are going to work towards it. We are not going to sit down and say it will happen, but we are going to work. And that is why we are beginning the work early. And the training is to make sure that when we are in government, you will be able to occupy key leadership positions in this country. And that is where we are going to. The youth will take over the key positions as we move forward in this country. You know that the votes is largely youth dominated. 2028, as was in 2024, will be a youth dominated election. And that is why we are going to really make a lot more effort with TESCON this time around than we did in 2024. So you are about 115 institutions who are here, and you will see me on a lot of campuses this year, next year, and 2028. We will take the debate, the ideas to the country, and we will make our case. We are, however, saying that we will not be intimidated. You can arrest all of us. We will come back and make it our case to the people of Ghana. And so I want all of you to come together as we are doing to make sure that in 2028, MPP comes back. We have a lot more to say, but I want to thank all of you tonight for making it here, and I ask you to enjoy the training and to learn a lot from it. May God bless you all. It is possible in 2028. Thank you very much.
Let's still stay with the MPP because the party's flag bearer, Mahmoud Bawumia, is also accusing the NDC government of undermining free speech and using state institutions to intimidate opposition members. The former vice president said in a statement that he has been concerned about what he describes as a pattern of arrests, detentions and tough bail conditions targeting members and supporters of the New Patriotic Party since the National Democratic Congress assumed office in January 2025. He pointed to recent cases, including the arrest and brief detention of social media user David Isando over comments about power outages, as well as the detention of MPP Bono Regional Chairman Kwame Bafo-Abronye, as worrying signs of what he believes is growing political intimidation. So those are excerpts of that particular statement that he released to that effect. You can see them on your screens right now. He says that these actions undermine free speech and are setting Ghana's democracy backwards. He condemns that in the strongest terms, the unholy collaboration between the executive, state, investigative agencies, and some elements within the judiciary to use intimidation and harassment to silence members of the New Patriotic Party. He concludes by saying that to patriots around the country, he's urging all to stay firm by refusing to succumb to intimidation while continuing their civic duty to hold the government accountable to its promises. Let's get onto the telephone lines right now and speak to Henry Nana Boakye. He's the MPP's national organizer. Welcome to the program, Henry. Do you agree with the statements by your flag bearer?
Hello, Ken. Yes, I fully endorse. In fact, the entire party machinery is in support of this statement. It's a very profound statement, and indeed, this attempt and this unwholesome culture by this government to harass the opposition party politically will not be condoned. And yesterday I spoke to you and I mentioned it, that you see, President Mahama is superintending over this regime of free speech suppression, and it is very unfortunate that our laws are being used in such a repressive manner. There are a lot of cases, and sometimes it's even frightening and it's even mind-boggling that somebody can just make a comment, just a simple comment on social media, and that person will be picked up by more than 10 well-built men with sophisticated guns. And that is what I term as a worrying situation. And indeed, in the coming days, we are going to embark on a series of activities, including demonstrations, including picketing, also alerting the international community. We will be contacting the diplomatic corps, informing them of what is happening, Peace Council, National House of Chiefs. Indeed, I mean, we've never seen this before, right? Then somebody would just put on social media, Doomsday is back. When indeed Doomsday is back, and the person will just be arrested. And somebody says, arrest, well, Madam Vice President, and the person is arrested, kept for 3 days. Somebody just posts on social media that, look, I've seen some judges and lawyers having lunch. I have videos, and then the person is visited by well-built men. They arrest him and kept him for some days. I mean, these are very, very dangerous, you know, and it's something we must all condemn, right? Look at what they did to Akufo-Addo recently. Very barbaric. I mean, they raided his house without a warrant. And this culture of also slapping on suspects, this onerous bail condition, it's a different and a negative culture. The dark days are being brought back. Look, we have repealed criminal libel law from our law books, and it looks like this government, President Mohammed's government, is gradually reintroducing this through the back door and using certain offenses in our books to achieve this purpose. And that is a very worrying development. That is why the party is in full support of the presidential candidate statement. And most unfortunately, I mentioned to you, Ken, I don't know what they have planted at Court 9. It was the same Court 9 where a judge sat and gave this bogus ruling of, yes, all of us might be equal before the law, as Article 17 says, but indeed some are above the law. Is the same judge who introduced Idi Amin, such a dictator, such a tyrant, introduced such a person into our democratic space? Is the same judge who also said animal farm? Most unfortunate. And in the same court where Judge Kunsun also sat, and even when he never had any application before him for remand, he still insisted that you have to be, Baba Mando must be incarcerated. I mean, it's most unfortunate. And what happened yesterday? Abronye, what did Abronye say? Abronye said that the judge is a political judge, and then he's not really a judge. We have heard this in different tones from the NDC. They said the judges were unanimous FC. The president then, as an opposition leader, lambasted judges. In fact, Justice Tokunu, Chief Justice Tokunu, was labeled as MPP National Women's Organizer. Nobody arrested those who peddle such falsehood. Right? And this attempt, and yesterday again on your show, this attempt to say that, oh, look, Abronye's comment is an attack on the judiciary, and the Muntie 3. Muntie 3 said that they were going to kill judges. They were going to kill judges. Abronye never said so. So this attempt where people would want to lump some previous offenses, and then the Mata Bobiansa had peddled this falsehood that the former first lady, former second lady, they had stolen some lands, and they are using the proceeds of this land to fund their activities. He was invited 5 times by the police. 5 times.
He never responded to any of this invitation, just when he was picked up to come and aid the investigation. So nobody should lump all of these issues together.
Henry,
what we have in our country now is a deliberate attempt by government, some element in government, right, to suppress free speech.
But Henry, some will argue that these judges are independent of their own thinking. We know that there's separation of powers in the country. The executive is different from the judiciary. They all operate independently. So do our security agencies. These are pronouncements that are made by judges and not by government. So why is your flag bearer and the party, in essence, accusing government of being behind these arrests?
Ordinarily, your point is what must be the norm. Yes, judges are supposed to be independent, but that is why I gave you these examples. But sometimes you sit in court and you listen to this ruling, and clearly you could see that some elements in government are in cohort with some of these judges, right, to pronounce or to give such ruling that will benefit their cause. Either than that, I don't understand how a judge can say that all of us are equal before the law, but some are above the law. And this same judge is promoted. He's now a high court judge. How? It beats my imagination. How? So, yes, some judges are really administering justice in its rightful way. Some are also abusing the power they have. They are abusing the power they have. So that is why I'm saying so. And anytime you go to CID, the moment they are processing somebody for court, and then the next moment you hear, oh, take the person to court 9. I've seen messages on some of the officers' phones where orders from above take them to court 9. It is always court 9. Always court 9. So that is why I'm saying that I have sat in the courtroom where I've listened to some of these rulings, and I get worried for our country that where we have developed our democracy to, and where our judiciary, we have traveled far, we have developed our systems. So such ruling, in fact, why would any judge even would want to introduce Idi Amin? Idi Amin should not find expression in any ruling. He should not at all. Such a tyrant, such a dictator.
But Henry, in that point, in that instance, though, there was widespread condemnation, including government spokesperson Felix Kwakye Ofosu, who in fact mentioned on our radio show yesterday that he condemned it, and Felix effectively speaks for the president of this country. So that is supposed to be an isolated incident that received widespread condemnation, no?
And Ken, is it not funny that the ruling received widespread condemnation, yet this same judge is promoted? He's giving promotion to the High Court. Is it not funny? Is it not funny that you are condemning this judge? It was because, yes, the entire nation, everybody wasn't happy with it, and it was so glaring. So they also had to add their mark. But the fact of the matter is that after such a bogus ruling, the person was promoted to the High Court. In just weeks.
Right. You've mentioned that.
That shows the hypocrisy of those in government who condemned the ruling.
You've mentioned that your party is going to engage in a series of demonstrations. When should we expect the first one?
Oh yes, we are going to officially communicate that there will be a series of activities. As I said, there will be demonstrations, there will be picketing. We will be petitioning some important bodies. Already next week, we are meeting the diplomatic corps. We are writing letters to some important bodies, those who are responsible to help shape our democracy. We're writing to all of these people that, look, they must speak out. They must tell the president right? So we are going to meet a lot of important bodies who, as I said, are also responsible in shaping our democracy. So we'll put that out officially.
Your flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has been described as being a hypocrite by the NDC for selective condemnation. In one breath, they say, during the tenure of former President Akufo-Addo, there were similar arrests under similar circumstances, which received zero condemnation from then Vice President Mahmoud Bawumia. Today, he's an opposition leader, and things that happened when he was Vice President is condemning it. So why the double standard from the MPP? That's the accusation coming from the NDC.
Ken, now, if Muntie 3 says that they are going to kill judges, have you ever heard any member of the MPP saying that we are going to kill judges? No. So why should the Vice President condemn such an act? Number two, I've also heard Felix referencing the Bobi Ansah matter, and I've already explained that on just when we are having this conversation. I've told you that Bobi Ansah made a categorical statement that the First Lady, Second Lady, they have sold government land, they have stolen money, and they are using the proceeds to fund their activities. And he was invited 6 times. He turned down this invitation, and eventually he was arrested. How is that the same as what is happening now? Who in the NDC? In fact, we had a lot of people who made some. In fact, that is why I keep saying that if this law was used in such a repressive and oppressive manner under MPP, then Okudzeto should have been in jail. Okudzeto lied his way through power. He was consistently stringing lies together, throwing them out.
Okay.
And that constituted the oral. And now they are saying that oral is garbage. They are saying that oral is mere allegations.
Henry, I want you to hold on.
Let me also reference a senior colleague, Samson Ladia, who on the show mentioned that, look, this government have used these laws in a very repressive manner far more, under 2 years old, far more than during the MPP's 8-year tenure.
Henry, I want you to hold on for me. Let me bring in Rashid Tanko Computer. He's the Deputy Director of IT and Elections with the governing National Democratic Congress. Mr. Computer, welcome to the program. There's been an accusation from the MPP's flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, that you are abusing the power that the good people of Ghana gave to you on the 7th of December 2024 by intimidating opposition members, arresting them. He cited examples of Abronye and other party executives who are constantly arrested for menial offenses. Why is the NDC abusing its power as being alleged by the MPP?
My brother, let me say good afternoon to you and your cherished viewers across the globe. I think if it was coming from CPP, PNC, or any other political party, I would have some good words for them. But for MPP, I don't know why you are entertaining them on this matter. They just left office about 1.5 years ago. You saw how they made this country to be like a militarized regime. For 8 years, you, the journalists, could you even practice, as the Constitution stipulates, journalists of this country had to run out of this country for their own life, for the safety of themselves. You remember the episode of Manasseh Azori, when it has to take senior journalists to smuggle him out of this country for his own life. Others lost their life. They are talking of Muslim freedom of speech in this country. I'm surprised you are entertaining them. These people who did not even fear God, they chased people into church to arrest them. You remember the venerable lawyer Chachu Chikata? They followed him when he was standing before his God to pray. They wanted to arrest him in church. These are the things they did. And in fact, their history is very bad when it comes to freedom of speech and other things. They better stop that one. Just registration exercise. They went and bundled our own candidate. Awutu Senya is Kasua. They went and bundled her and brought her all the way to Accra and locked her up. What are they talking about? We have not even done even a quarter of what they have done, but we are respecters of the law. The NDC is a respecter of the law. The fact that we are operating in the realm of freedom of speech doesn't allow them to recklessly sit on TV, on radio, and cast aspersions on people to the extent that they are running down judges. Listen to what the gentleman said about the judge.
You say you've not done a quarter of what the MPP did. Does that mean that this is a tit for tat? You are paying back the alleged sins you claim they did?
That is why I'm telling you that a quarter of what they did to the good people of Ghana, the NDC has not even done that. I'm just making reference to them that just a quarter. In fact, if we are going to talk about the history of MPP bastardizing freedom of speech, I'll write a novel of it in this country. What are they talking about? We've lived with them. We are respecters of the law. The NDC, in fact, successive government that has passed, I'm telling you, the only political party as of now that is a respecter of the law is the NDC. The president has not interfered in the affairs of the judiciary. Neither has he even interfered in the affairs of the security of the state. But people are taking this one, our leniency to be our weaknesses. They want to disturb the security of this country. Go to social media and see what they are writing there. Go and see what they sit on their television stations and radio stations and open their mouth as if there's no government in this country. Is that the kind of thing we want to live in this country?
Is that why government wants to shut them up?
We are not shutting them out. We are telling you that you must be a responsible citizen in this country and be a respecter of the law. We are under the regime of rule of law. The fact that you have math, you understand English, you can write, doesn't mean that you just take pen and paper and start writing anything. Or just sit because they've given you a mic to speak, you open your mouth and say all manner of things. We are not brought up like that in this country. So, apart from even the state security doing, don't we have families? Are we not coming from tradition, culture and tradition that says that you should respect elders and know how to speak to elders and leaders? Have we forgotten so soon our own culture and tradition? What kind of life is that? And when people do this and they want to bring them to order, then you say that they are Muslim freedom of speech. So that freedom of speech means that I should just open my mouth and start insulting people. Is that freedom of speech? I should start insulting people. The way I'm brought up, I won't insult. Look, Nana B is a very good friend of mine. Why will I go and insult Nana B? Why will I insult him? To get what from it? Will that bring development to this country? By attacking, if I go and attack Nana B and start insulting him, will that bring development into this country? This is not what we are doing in this country. We must also live above reproach and start knowing that we are leaders of this country. And therefore, we are passing down something that the next generation will come and pick up.
Rashid, so
we can't start running down people like this.
So you mean that these arrests are justified? That's what you say?
Completely justified, and I think that they must bring sanity into the political landscape and the media landscape. And I am saying that, look, that's why I respect the media too much. Me, for them, I respect them because if you look at all the professional stations, if you are going wayward, they will bring you back. If you are going wayward on their platform, they will make sure that you come back online. And they'll make sure that you even apologize appropriately.
Rashid,
that's why I respect them, and I always listen to them.
Okay.
They won't allow you to get haywire. But others, they just open the frontier for them, and they just say anything they want to say. And because we are lucky in this country, the security is top notch. Otherwise, they would have thrown this country into flames. With this kind of utterances that people are doing all over the place.
Rashid, I want you to hold on for me. Let me bring back Henry. He is the national organizer of the opposition NPP. Henry, you've been listening to your friend Rashid Tanko Computer from the NDC. He says these arrests are justified.
I think that Tanko has not been following this event. And let me say this. He mentioned the Awutu Senya NDC parliamentary candidate. you will recall that there was a report by his own Minister of Interior who said that all the issues this lady raised were all lies. You are aware, Ken? All. In fact, even at the point alleging that there was a gun pointed at her, all of it in a report from the Minister of Interior himself, Muntaka. So I'm surprised why Rashid should still be alluding to that fact. It is not true. Secondly, his own former national organizer, Kamba, says that Mahama must punish people behind David Esando's useless arrest. That is his own party former organizer saying it. I'm not the one saying it. Let me also read this one to you from an NDC member, Oliver Baka Womau. He said that the NDC must take this rampant speech-related arrest for granted. They must not take it for granted. They quickly undermine support for government. I think the Attorney General must urgently issue an executive instrument to limit the prosecutorial mandate of the police to no longer than Section 208 or Section 76 of the Electronic Communications Act, because that is what they have been abusing. So it looks like he's not even in the country. It looks like he's not even in the country. So people, and again, I know Rashid is also an ardent listener and a viewer of Newsfar. So, Rashid, you did not hear Samson Ladiainini say that in less than 2 years of your administration, you have used this oppressive, repressive, obnoxious law far more than 8-year tenure of the New Patriotic Party. Look, and sometimes I wonder, during MPP's era, the kind of insults. Look, and Tango, you are a Muslim. Alhaji Rashid, you are a Muslim. You recall that your own YEA CEO now had a picture of your brother Alhaji Mahmoud Baumia, where in one hand he was holding beer, in another hand he was holding pork. And this is haram. The vice president then was the chairman for the police council. He never caused the arrest of Sentali. He never did so. Look, I recall that there was this journalist associated to NDC, Samuel Hunter, who said that any time the former president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, gets onto a private jet, that jet must crash and he should die. Who arrested him? Nobody arrested him. Look, my brother Rashid, do not be soaked by or be consumed by power. Power is transient. What is wrong is wrong. Look, if anybody feels defamed or slighted by any comment from anybody, the person can resort to civil proceedings. He can go to court. He can sue the person. So what is this? What is the business? In fact, look, this billboard, the David Asano matter, is when I hear it, I was in the interrogation room. Do you know what happened? The owner of the billboard, who is Orlando Aka or Vaka also, who is a friend who Lesofosukwachi and Standobi, because he knows people in power. He then caused people from Signals Bureau, National Signals Bureau, about 10 of them, go after this one because he says that the signboard is his. That is, the billboard is his. And the original picture is President Mahama during the Independence Day celebration. Meanwhile, they have edited it and they have added Dumso is back. Because of that, the person feels that he's closer to power. He knows people in power. So they have to go and arrest this person. And you are on TV justifying this arrest? You are on TV justifying this arrest? Wow. You Rashid Tanku, you campaigned strongly on LGBTQ, my brother. You did so. And so when the president now says that LGBTQ is no more his option and that it is not a priority for him, And somebody just goes on social media and then dresses the president in LGBTQ colors, indicating that now the president appears to be supporting LGBTQ, when indeed he had campaigned strongly and he has won elections out of it. You just go and watch the person from Sinyane, travel all the way 8 hours to Accra. Where are we getting to? So if the president is not aware, then I'm telling you that this is a disgrace to Ghana. This is not what we fought for. Look, we have developed our democracy to the level where these things, yes. You, Rashid Tanko, you labeled judges as unanimous FC. You, on several occasions, on several platforms I was with you, you were calling some judges MPP judges. In fact, some of your members were calling Chief Justice Tokono as National Women Organizer for the MPP. Who arrested them? Rashid, who arrested them? So if Abronye says that the judge is a political judge and that he's not a judge because he's there doing the bidding of NDC, how is that different from President Mahama labeling judges as unanimous FC? How is that different? How is that different? So because of this, you have to arrest this person, and even when a bail application is made, the judge says that Abronye should be incarcerated until the matter is heard fully. Its final conclusion. How is this logical?
Henry, don't go yet. Let me bring back Rashid Tanko Computer. You've been listening to your colleague on the other side of it. I mean, one of the strongest, arguments that the former vice president makes is the case of David Esando, who, according to the statement I'm reading verbatim, he says the arrest, detention, and subsequent release of David Esando for lamenting on social media about the return of Dumso. He, according to the former vice president, was just lamenting on social media that Dumso has returned and he was picked up. And this has received some condemnation from other members of your party, but you still insist that it's justified.
Let me tell you, we have to sanitize the media landscape. If we don't sanitize it, you know what happened to the Mano River states in the 90s? That led them to all manner of difficulties that they had to grapple with. We don't want that one in Ghana. We are peaceful, loving people. Ghana is a very peaceful, loving people. Ghanaians, we like each other. We are brothers and sisters. But if people want to take the democracy that we are enjoying for granted, you and I will suffer it. The generation to come will blame us for not protecting the democracy. We must protect the democracy. So if people are going wayward, we must bring them on that, whip them online, let them come online.
Rashid, how is that going wayward? When the person was complaining about Dumso, how is it going wayward?
Oh, who told you it's Dumso? If a lot of people have said Dumso, have they picked them? You should go, is it a matter of only the person said Dumso and they picked him?
Okay.
You should go and see what the person has put out there. That's what we are talking about. It's not about this. Aboriginal matter. Has Aboriginal talk about Dumso? Clearly, it is NPP propaganda. They are just putting out there to cover up the wrongs of what the gentleman is involved in.
Okay.
That is what they are trying to do. It's pure propaganda they are doing. And then we are saying that, look, we must respect our elders. We must respect leadership. And then nobody is going to stop anybody from critiquing government policies and programs. No. It is not in our DNA as a party, NDC. We won't stop anybody. They can go ahead. In fact, we even listen to them when they come out with constructive criticism. Why not? They are partners in development, although they are opponents. But we will not sit down, fold our arms, and allow anybody to throw the country into serious anarchy. That is not what we are all looking for. And I don't believe Nanabi and his group are also interested in that. I don't believe that. And I know very well some of the things coming out from their members. I'm sure behind the scene, they will call them to talk to them. You are going overboard. This thing that they are doing, it doesn't help. You can't run down a judge like that. and expect that the law enforcers should just fold their arms. Please.
So it's just the law working, you say?
Criticism should not be equated to insult. No, you shouldn't do that. That is what they are trying to do.
Right.
If they are criticizing government policy, we have no problem. Day in, day out, Nana B and his group, they are criticizing us. They hold press conferences. They say all manner of things about our policies, our programs. We don't come after them. Nobody comes after them. But the security people, they are also human beings. They look at this. Look, if we don't leave this in the bag and allow it, we are going to open the Pandora box. And as soon as we open the Pandora box, it will consume me and consume Nana B.
Okay.
We must stop it and prepare the groundswell for future politicians to come and take over.
Right. Rashid Tango Computer, thank you very much. He's the Deputy Director of Elections and IT with the governing NDC. Earlier we heard from Henry Nana Boache. He's the National Organizer of the Opposition NPP. You're still watching the polls here on Joy News. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more. Hello again. As Ghana pushes toward industrialization and a technology-driven economy, a critical question remains unanswered. Are the country's young engineers truly being prepared for the future? Every year, universities produce thousands of engineering graduates, yet many leave school uncertain about their career path, struggling to transition from the classroom into industry. Concerns are already growing over the gap between academic training and the rapidly changing demands of the global workforce, with experts warning that without stronger mentorship, innovation support and practical exposure, Ghana risks losing a generation of talented engineers. To analyze this, I've been joined in the studio by members of the Ghana Institution of Engineering, the Youth Engineering Branch. Benedict Atapoku is the chairman of the Youth in Engineering from the Ghana Institution of Engineering. Crystal Owusua Amwa Bamfo is the secretary of the Youth in Engineering as well. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program. Usually I start with the ladies, but this time around I want to start with the gentlemen. Often you hear a lot of people telling you the courses that they do. I did so and so in engineering, so and so in engineering. They come back, they are completely lost in the job market. How do they find their feet right after coming through years of training in school?
So usually there's a bit of a mismatch between the expectations of young engineering graduates and also what the industry is actually looking at. So there has to be a fine balance between the two, between what the young graduates are looking at and then also what the industry is expecting. There's been a shift in the labor market, what the kind of skills that the labor market is requiring now in the years to come is not exactly what young graduates are also being trained for and with currently. So there's a bit of a gap over there. So what needs to happen right now is more of mentorship, more of internship, more of industrial placement to ensure that the young graduate that is about to finish school has some idea about what is expected in industry so that they have employable skills as soon as they're done with school to be able to fit into the job market.
Can we truly industrialize, Crystal, as a country if we fail to, put our young people in check to ensure that they find their feet, our young engineers? Can we truly industrialize as a country?
No, I don't think we can. We always say that the youth are the future, and truly we are the future. And so if we fail to invest in the youth, we fail to give the youth innovation or opportunity to be to innovate. We do not help with incubation of ideas that are coming from the youth, and we are not helping them with mentorship, then I don't think we can truly industrialize.
Usually the question that people ask is, you have people calling themselves engineers in the country. They'll be taking a road trip from Suhum to Insawem or wherever. Their cars break down in the middle of the road. They have no idea of where to go, where to look, how to fix it. Do you think there's an issue with the kind of courses that are taught engineers in school? They focus more on the practicals focus more on the theory, more than the practicals? Or you think that it is as a result of the students themselves who do not incorporate themselves into the courses? That is why they struggle when they finish school?
No, so there are 4 classes of engineering practitioners. There's the professional engineer, there's the professional engineering technologist, there are engineering technicians, and there are artisans. 4 classes. And each of the classes, each of the professionals, they have specific roles, right? The professional engineering, or the professional engineers, are heavy on theory, because engineering is not just about the practical aspect, but it's about imbibing the theory. Engineering thrives on principles, scientific principles that have been tested and tried for many, many years. So the theory is as important as the practicals. But where I believe, where your question is coming from, is finding the right balance between the practicals and the theory. And that is where there has to be more collaboration between the universities and industry, so that we can have a system where young engineering practitioners or students can have automatic placement into industries, so that they can learn the practicals, right? Because engineering is not only about, we in this generation are exposed to a lot of information, but engineering is not all about the acquisition of information, but it's also being able to make the right call. Okay, so it's very important that there's this kind of a relationship, a marriage between the industry and then the universities, so that we can have more of our young people learn and get the practicals, do more apprenticeship and get the practicals, so they can make good engineering judgment when they begin to work.
And why do you think young people tend to lose interest in engineering the moment they graduate from school?
Yeah, you know, there's more supply of engineers or engineering graduates in the market than the market is actually able to absorb. So the surplus, the people that are in that subset, usually become demotivated. And I think that our training should be tilted more towards training engineering graduates who are going to have a deployment mindset rather than an employment mindset. If you finish school and your mindset is about being deployed, looking inwardly and seeing what you can do and do well and trying to do something on your own, it reduces the burden, it reduces the problem, it reduces the situation that we have. If everybody's going to finish school and think that somebody elsewhere has to employ them, then that's what creates the problem. And also the fact that you did engineering doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be employed by an engineering company. Engineers, they are multi-skilled, multi-talented. The fundamentals that you acquire from an engineering training puts you in a position to be able to work anywhere, work even in the media, work in the bank, work. So the fact that you did engineering doesn't necessarily mean that you have to look for an engineering company and work as an engineer. But the training that you receive as an engineering graduate puts you in a position to be able to work anywhere and do very well.
I think that's something that most of them do not realize, because, yeah, that's true. We have engineers working here at our facilities who make sure that our machines are up and running all the time.
Yes.
Crystal, let me come to you. Usually you don't find women a lot of times in the engineering sector. What is the demotivating factor that is pushing women away from entering into engineering?
I would say the mindsets once more. It seems as if people think that engineering is tough and so it is a man's job. Or some people believe that it requires a lot of carrying of heavy things. But as he said, there are different classes to the engineering. So you can be a professional engineer on the side of maybe academia, doing lecturing and research and things like that. But then what we have in our minds as Ghanaians is that engineering has to do with a screwdriver and something that only a man can do, something that involves, heavy mechanical work, but that's not all that engineering has to offer. So I think that's what the demotivation is.
I think one of the demotivating factors also is that the women themselves, most of them even feel like if, for example, they go for an interview to be employed at an engineering firm or at an engineering department in any company, if they're a woman and then a man of equal qualification comes, the likelihood that the man will be chosen over the woman is also very high. So even apart from they thinking that engineer is about carrying things and all that, they feel that their employability is very low compared to men. Do you get those, responses from some of these women?
I have heard of some people complaining about how they genuinely feel like they were more qualified than the male counterparts who had gotten the jobs over them. But I love to believe that the world is changing, engineering is changing, and so there is place for women in the engineering space.
I think you were a perfect example of that, right? Do you think Ghana is doing enough to equip our young engineers to take over?
Well, I won't say enough. I think Ghana is obviously doing something, but we need to invest more in research and development. If you look at all the advanced countries, China, Singapore, Malaysia, US, these are countries that have invested heavily, a greater proportion of their GDP in research and development. They have labs, they have prototyping labs that they can test ideas and make sure that those ideas materialize, implement them. So they have those kind of systems. A country that doesn't invest so much, a very good proportion of its GDP in research and innovation would not be able to catch up, would not be able to see their young engineers becoming more innovative, because innovation requires some kind of capital investment most of the time to be able to bring into fruition what it is that you have thought about. So the country needs to do more. There are countries that invest more than 4% of their GDP in research and development. Most of the African countries are doing less than 1%, which is woefully inadequate. So there's an inverse relationship, between where we want to get to and how much we are putting into research.
What are today's young engineers missing that the previous generation of engineers had?
The previous generation, they had more of the apprenticeship, skills. In those days, the demand was, it was almost like it is, but there wasn't a lot of unemployment at the time, because the population wasn't as it is today. So they had a lot of opportunities to do more internship and all that. So they had the internship, industrial placement. They had more of the apprenticeship, skills. So they had more of a very good engineering judgment, in the way they do things, which is not really the same now. And obviously, there's a situation where you have thousands of engineering students and you have very few companies. So that's one thing. That's a big difference between the older generation and then this new generation.
Chriso, what should a fresh graduate who has graduated from any type of engineering do? I've graduated fresh on the market. I'm lost, confused. What do I do?
Now, this is going to sound a bit cliche, but I would love to say that you should focus on your soft skills. What am I talking about? So communication, your leadership. You have to be able to not only create ideas, but be able to communicate those ideas and express them in a way that would make sense to the common floor person in the country. That's the only way in which you'll be able to make yourself truly relatable to the technology and everything that's going on right now.
That's a question I'm going to pose to you too. A fresh graduate from any of the engineering courses, what should they do?
They should learn more about AI tools. They should be more adaptable with digital tools. We must understand that the pace at which there's disruption in technological advancement is actually outpacing the evolution of our engineering curriculum. So if you get stuck to your engineering fundamentals, you're going to be in a position where you're not going to find a space in the labor market, because skills are transitioning. So young engineers must learn more about how to use automated systems, AI tools, and be friendly with digital tools.
If you had one message for every young engineer in this country who is uncertain about the future, what would you say?
I would tell them that the future of engineering is bright. It's really bright. So they should focus on learning beyond what is offered to them, and in that, see everything as an opportunity to learn more, to adapt. As Benedict was saying, learn more of the AI tools, not just ChatGPT and Claude and knowing how to put in, but then even the skill of how to prompt engineer whatever it is that you're expecting from these AI tools. All of that are skills that you need for the future.
Ghana Institution of Engineering is a very big organization, very big, full of brilliant men and women like yourselves. Let's talk about mentorship. If somebody wants mentorship under the umbrella of the Ghana Institution of Engineering, what do they do?
So, this is a very good question. Currently, under the Youth of Engineering, Youth in Engineering, we are doing a program, we are doing a mentorship program, where all young engineers have been assigned, those who have expressed interest in wanting to be mentored. They have been assigned to some individuals who have also expressed their interest to mentor people. And we've started a program. Very soon we're going to launch it. And we are going to ensure that that program works. So the first thing is that people must belong. If you are outside the engineering fraternity, you must belong to the Ghana Institution of Engineering. It's the mother association of engineering practitioners in Ghana. Once you belong, it's very, very easy to find a mentor.
I want to give the final word to the lady, Chriselle. Your final word before we go.
So before we go, I'd like to throw out a challenge to all the young engineers in the country that you should rise above and beyond. Make sure that you are learning not just the engineering skills, you are learning how to communicate, you are learning the AI tools, you are learning how to adapt and change, because we're not only looking at Ghana, we're looking at the global industry. So let's make sure we match up.
Thank you very much for coming into the studio. Chriselle Owusu-Amwa-Bamfo is the Secretary of the Youth in Engineering of the Ghana Institution of Engineering. Benedict Atapoku is also an engineer. He is the Chairman of the Youth in Engineering with the Ghana Institution of Engineering.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, to other stories this evening, residents of Anomanji, Asuoja Junction and surrounding communities in the Swami municipality in the Ashanti region are grappling with an acute water crisis as prolonged dry taps push many to scramble for water daily. Over the past 2 months, people in these areas have been walking long distances to fetch water from distant sources, a burden that has fallen heavily on women and children. The following report has more.
This situation has disrupted households, forcing families to adjust their daily routines and stretch limited incomes to cope. Residents say many students go to school unwashed, while families spend money they do not have on water from tanker services and private vendors to meet basic needs such as cooking, bathing, cleaning, and sanitation. As the dry spell continues, public health concerns are mounting over hygiene and the risk of waterborne diseases, particularly among children and the elderly. Residents are urging swift action to restore regular water supply and provide interim measures to ease the burden on affected households. I am supposed to be at work by now, but because of how difficult it is to get water, I'm now going to work late. We are pleading with the authorities to come to our aid. As a nursing mother who also works, finding water to wash my baby's clothes is a struggle. By the time I manage to get water for bathing, I often end up late for work. To get water, we walk long distances and cross busy roads where cars drive at high speed, which is a threat to our lives. They have brought a water bill to us, but I refuse to share it with the tenants because the water isn't flowing. Meanwhile, the Ghana Water Limited has attributed the water supply disruptions in the affected areas to frequent power outages. The management of Ghana Water Limited explained the interruptions to electricity supply have hampered the company's ability to pump and distribute water consistently to households. They assured residents the water company is working closely with the Electricity Company of Ghana to resolve the issue and restore regular supply as soon as possible. Francis Mensah's report for Joy News.
The new Upper West Regional Court Complex is expected to be completed before the end of the year, barring any construction setbacks. However, Upper West Regional Minister Charles Puzin says the facility alone will not solve delays in justice delivery without more judges, staff and official vehicles. The minister made the remarks when the Parliamentary Judicial Committee paid a courtesy call on him in Wa. Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam has more.
After 26 years of construction, the Upper West Regional Court Complex in Wa is nearing completion. Regional Minister Charles Akufo-Addo says only finishing work remains and the facility could open before the next legal year starts in October. But Charles Akufo-Addo warns the real bottleneck is people, not buildings. Tumu District Court has no judge, leaving cases from the Sisala area stalled. Suspects can be tried within the required period unless sent to Wa, and when the Wa judge travels to Tumu, poor roads and no official vehicle slow the process down.
Within the mandatory period, if they cannot bring them to Wa, because the nearest court from Sisala area to is Wa, then we have a difficulty in having the matters dealt with. So a lot of cases have stalled, and he has to take the judge in Wa to sometimes allocate some days in the week to go and sit and come back to the regional capital, which is a difficulty for him, especially that the district lawyer, they don't give them vehicles.
Jiriba also has a difficulty currently. Nadoli has a judge and is very active. Lara has a circuit court but no judge. The new court complex will house 2 high courts and 3 circuit courts. Yet, Wa currently has just 1 high court judge. Charles Akufo-Addo says the region needs at least 2 more circuit court judges and 1 more high court judge immediately. He's also pushing for digitalization to cut delays and reduce corruption in the courts.
So as I said, the ultimate is the staffing, and then all of us, what we keep saying, that we should digitalize things to ensure that human rules are less in the judicial process, quote unquote, with the assumption that to corruption will be better.
Parliament Judicial Committee says it is ready to act. Ranking member Bid and Waters Mazeden says the committee will take up the staffing and funding gaps when the budget is considered.
But the issue of staffing is very, very important. It's very, very important because without adequate staff, the judiciary as a judiciary cannot operate. They provide everything for the judges, the magistrates, and all those people. So their presence is very, very important.
Deputy ranking member and MP for Zabzugu questioned why furniture and finishing works are still incomplete at the Upper West Court Complex months after funds were released.
If he did use his money and we paid him, I don't see the reason why the place is still not finished. And so we want you to appeal to you to also stress to him that we want the place yesterday and not today.
The Judicial Parliamentary Committee, upon visiting the site, were not happy with the snail pace of work at the site by the contractor. A director of Project 7 Limited, contractors for the project, Simon Sowa, however rejected claims that his company abandoned the project and misapplied funds, saying materials are on site and work has progressed since December. Mr. Sowa responded to the Judicial Committee of Parliament through this off-camera interview.
All those furnitures and those are those ones are specialized works, and those ones we don't produce them on site. You understand? We are going to put in swivel chairs, we are going to put in roasters. Once those dirty works, the things are done, those ones can come in one day, and then you fix them. So for we the contractor, I mean, we've even done more good to judicial service than what they came to put out to the public, which is very unfortunate.
The blunt truth is that the building may be ready, but without judges, staff, working vehicles, justice in the Upper West region risks remaining out of reach.
Reporting for J News, Rafik Salam. Wow.
The construction of a 24-hour market project in the Katsina-Nankana West District of the Upper East region is expected to create jobs for the youth, empower traders and entrepreneurs, and boost internally generated revenue for the District Assembly. The District Chief Executive for the area, Stephen Akurugu, said the project will also strengthen local economic activities and support development initiatives there.
The sword-cutting ceremony for the construction of a 24-hour market in the Katsina-Nankana West District under the government's 24-hour economy policy was attended by the Upper East Regional Minister, Donatus Akamukiri, and the Member of Parliament for the Chana Paga constituency, Nichema Bila Alamzi. The market, which will be located in the district capital, Paga, will, in addition to stores, include a day-care center, a clinic, police and fire service posts, and a branch of the Women's Development Bank. Speaking at the sword-cutting ceremony, the DCE for Katsina-Nankana West District, Stephen Aike Akurugu, described the project as a great initiative. He said the market, when completed, will help the District Assembly in revenue mobilization to support community infrastructure and maintain public facilities.
In this 24-hour economy market, we will have cold stores, we will have a meat section, you have warehouses, you also have administrative offices, then you have a parking space, waste management area, you have restaurants, you have a gym facility. Upon completion, the facility will provide a modern and conducive environment for trading activities, improve commerce within the district, create employment opportunities for the youth, empower traders and entrepreneurs, and equally enhance in the internally generated revenue for the Assembly.
The MP for the area, Nichema Bila Alamzi, said the market would become one of the most beneficial projects in the district because of its strategic location near the border with Burkina Faso.
Most of the Burkinabes, the products that we'll be having, economically it is going to help us as a district, and it is going to help our market women. And I told them to take advantage when the project is done. It should take advantage of the market that is in Po, that is in Manga and Co, because I grew up here and I know that they do almost everything in Ghana, and it is going to make sure that the economy will grow here as a border town.
Some market women who attended the ceremony expressed excitement about the prospects for the new market and the economic opportunities it is expected to bring when completed.
This market, though it has not yet started, by even seeing the way the car they saw and was pouring the sun, we are very, very excited. Our market is too crowded. We have no place, and that is where we get our daily bread and take care of our offspring, our children, and they the men themselves. But we shouldn't forget of the loan. We need a loan to support ourselves in the market.
The project is expected to be completed in 18 months. Reporting for Joy News, Albert Sori, Paga.
Growing chieftaincy disputes in parts of the country are becoming a major concern. Parliament's Select Committee on Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs has now turned to the Asantehene Akufo-Addo II for guidance and support in helping restore calm. The committee paid a courtesy call on the Asantehene at the Menchia Palace as part of stakeholder consultations in the matter. The following report has more.
Speaking to the media after the meeting, Chairman of the committee, Dr. Fred Che Asamoah, explained the visit forms part of the committee's oversight responsibilities and stakeholder engagement aimed at gathering input on issues relating to chieftaincy, culture, and religion. The chairman noted that chiefs played vital governance roles long before the introduction of modern democratic systems, adding that the 1992 Constitution also recognizes and assigns important responsibilities to traditional leaders. He said the committee was particularly encouraged by some of the concerns raised by the Asantehene, especially on the need to prevent partisan politics from interfering in chieftaincy matters.
We knowing Akufo-Addo as a major stakeholder in chieftaincy issues, not only in Ghana but across Africa and the world. We are on a working visit to meet the House of Chiefs, and first we needed to meet Akufo. We'll meet Akufo today and have interaction with him and to let him know our mandate, which he graciously received that today and espoused some issues which he believes that as a parliamentary select committee we can take up on the floor of parliament, in as much as we are all working to improve on the state of chieftaincy and its contribution to national development. You know, before the arrival of democracy, we have our revered kings and chiefs that led the governance of the people.
According to him, part of the resources spent on conflict resolution could instead be redirected to institutions such as the national and regional houses of chiefs to strengthen their capacity in resolving disputes before they escalate.
Chieftaincy and culture and religion go hand in hand, and we also got wind of the fact that commitment of government to chieftaincy doesn't reflect. If you look at the amount of budget that government spent through defense to resolve chieftaincy disputes and its aftermath, if part of these funds could be rechanneled to the work of a statutory creation like the House of Chiefs, that could help us bring down the cost of spending after issues happen. So we have already talked about it. If we look at the budget, there's some concerns were raised. We debated on.
The Member of Parliament for Ahafwano Southwest, Elvis Dapa, called on chiefs to ensure fairness, transparency, and neutrality in the discharge of their traditional responsibilities.
Some students at the University of Professional Studies, Accra, have developed innovative ideas that have not yet received the attention and support needed to drive national development and drive sustainable growth in Ghana's private sector. To ensure these innovations receive the large-scale support they require, the university is partnering with the Multimedia Group to share the stories of these students. This came up when UPSA authorities met with the management of the Multimedia Group. Vice-Chancellor Professor John Kweku Mensah Mauto explains the initiative.
Ghana Business Conclave, leadership program, which we want to make it annual, will be a top-notch program for business leaders in the country, where some of these topics will be taught: succession planning, how to resolve disputes, bringing in traditional, leadership. It is time we, as a university or in academia, we are planning to also contribute our quota by getting literature for some of these practices. And this conclave comes in handy such that we will get our leaders to toe the line of literature, but not to just join the status quo, establish it, develop it, grow then once you die with it. No, there should be a point of transition beyond the owners and founders of these businesses. And that is the main idea for this conclave. So I'm so happy that Joy FM has joined us. And by so doing, we are motivated by this partnership. We are very smart young men and women who are on our campuses doing a lot of things. What we have to do is to help them bring it out. I hosted a mini Gusa game since last week, and the entire jersey that UPSA used was produced by young level 300 students who demonstrated that they have their own company. They established a company where they were in level 200 and in level 300 now. They were able to clothe our team. We gave them the first contract, their first contract on campus, worth over 200,000. It tells you we want them to grow, we want to create jobs. And you being our partners, we know that you can tell the story very well when you are with us.
And as part of UPSA's 60th anniversary, which spans from August 2025 through to 2026, the university is hosting a Ghana Business Leaders Conclave on Friday, the 15th of May at 4 p.m. And this will be graced by Asantehene Otumfuo-Addo II, Chief Operating Officer of the Multimedia Group, Ken Ansa, who applauded the university for its transformation, assured of the group's continued support in strengthening business leadership, innovation, and industry collaboration.
When you talk about growth, I think UPSA is a clear example of what growth can be and the kind of good things one can see. But then also when you see institutions like that are that serious in transformation, then you have no option than to support, and support as best as you can. So it is in that spirit that we always want to come close, especially when UPSA calls. And we can only assure you that we will do our best always to help promote the good works you do. So well done, and the story must be told, you see, and it must be told well. And the good examples therefrom should be shared so people can also see what is possible, you know. The second point is the initiatives that you have. Yes, we are confirming our support towards this event and the fact that you do it every year. If you want us to commit to the next 5 years, next 10 years, you can take that from us as Multimedia's bit of getting this very good initiative going.
Well, that's it for the Pulse this evening. My name is Kenneth Jesse, but I'll leave you with this story where teaching children to speak the truth over comfort is an advice Maria Lovelace Johnson says has helped her children stay out of trouble. The director of Regional Operations Directorate at the Food and Drugs Authority once was clinically declared dead after her second child, but recovered and went on to pursue her career dream. She cautions women against using their gender as a barrier to achieving their goals. She sat with Hannah Odame for a series, My Mother, My World. Enjoy.
Plugging and enjoying coconut water on hot days. Cooking, singing, drumming, and dancing are some of the ways she winds down after hectic weeks of work at the office and on the field. Maria Abba Lovelace Johnson's work at the Food and Drugs Authority keeps her at work for long hours, but she finds ways of making time for her children.
I mean, being a woman and doing all this, and let me say, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. It is a loaded work, but then you do it with joy too because God has given you. So sometimes you just want time. Most of the time, I don't even have a lot of time for them. That's why sometimes when it's their vacation, I also take my leave. So you can be let's just be here together and all of that.
Maria, now a director of inspectorate, was attracted to the FDA due to her love for food.
I was posted there as one, and two, I actually wanted, I like something food.
Okay.
I like food.
There was an interest that pushed you there.
Yes, and it was a new thing. And as I said, I like new things. I like things that I make something out of. I want to be part of something that is new. So when they started in 97, and I finished school in 98, so just 1 year after they had started. So I thought they were at their preparatory stage. I mean, very fundamental, very early stages.
You could add
something, we could transform, we could do something, make something out of nothing.
The diligence she exhibits at her work continues at home, organizing how the house should look and how everyone must align is a priority for her.
Really tough sometimes. You have to even go to school, school open day. You have to go and see. As you have the open day, you have a meeting starting. So they will start the open day around 6, and you can just go quickly. You'll have a meeting. You have to be in the office at 9, and you have to go and see what is happening there. You have to, and then I can't find my socks. I can't do this. So one of the things to that think I can do is organization. Well, they have to be well organized, so that and then again, thanks to Wesley Girls, the getting well organized thing comes from that training. You can see some of the houses, their lockers are even so small. Meanwhile, we fold our things very well, and I mean, as if it's ironed. You fold so that you know, I'm going to take this out. You pull, you pick it up, you pull this out, you pull. Those that you're hanging, they are hung, so that at any point in time when you get there, you know what you are picking. The same way, if you are going to school, let's put your lunchbox together. The things that can be put in. If it's a sandwich that can be done the next morning, you wake up quickly. We do it.
So include them in the planning.
I do. So you have to. Yes, you include them in the planning, and they get to know the benefit. That they don't wake up the next morning looking for their socks, looking for their shoes, looking for their singlets
and their homework.
And their homework, yes. So they have to finish. So it's all about including them in the planning and letting them plan well, and know that when you plan well, everything will be easy. Everything becomes like concerts, as I always tell them, that let's do as if we are acting out a concert. I mean, all of us will be fine. So you try and do that. Then when it's time for work you go.
Maria has hardly paused since her national service. Now a PhD candidate, she tells of her mother's advice on education that still resonates with her.
I grew up knowing that as for school, you have to go. My mother had a saying that better than the one who hasn't gone to school. So even if I was going to sell that old beast in fish, I had to finish the highest level of school I can.
Maria, who believes career mothers have less time for their children, shares a secret that has helped her as a mother to enable her children feel her presence more than her absence.
You can do what I have to do humanly possible, I do. And then leave the rest with God for direction. So we have time together.
And you get to hear more from them.
Exactly, telling me, and they keep talking. Sometimes they talk and
but you have to make time to listen.
Yes.
That's the time most parents have to listen to.
Yes, that's the time.
Otherwise,
most parents, they will go, especially around this time, they will be influenced by others. So at least, hey, you know what happened? We went here and they'll be, hey, this good thing. No. This girl and this boy, they are doing this, no good though. And they are, you see, when they themselves will be, so when they are even talking, I try and eavesdrop to see. And then when they are watching something, I'll try and, what are they watching? And say what they are doing. I just sneak on them and see, hey, your phone, let me see. And then I see what is happening. I mean, because the days are dangerous. We are in the LGBTQI era and all of that. So you don't want any such thing. So as much as we don't have the time, we make the time for them, because what is everything else if they don't turn out well?
And her children totally adore the sacrifice.
Mommy, thank you for everything that you have done for us. We appreciate your sacrifices and your love. Happy Mother's Day.
Oh, thank you so much, Mommy Araba.
Thank you, Mommy, for all the things you've done for me, like taking me on holidays. I promise to you that I will utilize all resources available to me to make sure that I become the person you want me to be. And through Jesus Christ's name, I will do it. Amen. Thank you very much. Happy Mother's Day to you, Mommy.
Thank you.
She, however, cautions women not to rely on their gender to be excuse-driven, as that can negatively affect their career growth.
I don't play with work. Okay. I take it that if you take work as what is going to put food on your table, and as I told you, I love food. Mm-hmm. I don't want to go hungry. Yeah. So I don't have to play with work.
That will give you the food.
That will give me the food to give to the children.
Yeah.
And also, I don't believe in this kind of feminism where I don't even think that's feminism. I don't believe in the fact that because I'm a woman, I should be given a certain privilege. Because I'm a woman, I don't have to get to work at a certain time because of children. If you do that, when the promotions come, you will not get as well, because then the man will be available at all times. If a man is going to be available, then a woman should be available, apart from the maternity.